Okay, I'm going to show you how we're going to make our foot for our stuffed animal. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to make this bottom piece. And then once you have made the bottom piece, we're going to pick up stitches and we're going to work this middle section here. Once we have this middle section done, we're going to actually pick up stitches on the right side, work across the stitches that we just had on our needle, and then pick up stitches on the other side. And then we work back and forth in rows again to make the top part of our leg. So I'm going to show you how we're going to pick up stitches here, and then how we do pick up here and over here. So I've already made my shoe, and we're going to go work on the cast off edges instead of the cast on edges. And we want to pick the middle part of our shoe to work our first stitches. And if you look, you'll actually see that it looks like there's a little indent here. These are the 6 stitches that we want to work. And we're going to be going into the purl bumps right behind the cast on edge. So I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to go into my purl bump. I'm going to take my contrasting color, and I'm just going to wrap around, and then I'm going to bring it through as if I'm knitting. So we just did one. So now we go into a purl bump again for 2. You kind of want to hold tension on the yarn after you wrap it around your needle, so that way it helps bring it through the work. You want to make sure that we don't split any of the fabric, yarn. And we're going to go into the little bumps behind the cast on. And we're doing 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's do the last one. So again, it's the purl bumps that are behind our cast off edge. And by doing that, we make it so that you don't actually see anything on the right side. You'll see the joining on the back side. So you're just going to go ahead and you're going to knit these, changing every other row. Just 6 straight stitches for 10 rows. I will be back with you once I have those rows done. Okay, so I finished my first section. I have cut both tails because we're not going to need them. What you can do is we can just do one simple knot underneath just to hold them in place for now. And then we're going to continue on our pattern. So we're going to pick up stitches on the right hand edge. We're going to leave the stitches on that left hand needle. With our right hand needle, we're going to go right to the edge and pick up those purl bumps again. And then wrap our yarn around and bring it through to knit it. And we're going to do 5 stitches this time. Just make sure the yarn doesn't split, which we have a split there, so let's do that over again. So you wrap around. If you pull it tight, it helps a little bit. So it's 2. Just be careful with all the tails that we have, that you're just using the working yarn and not accidentally picking up with your tail, or you're not trapping any tails in this. So we need one more. Okay, so we have our 5. There should be 8 stitches in between that we're going to skip. Now what we're going to do is we're going to join our work. So we're going to knit the stitches that are on our left hand needle. And you want to make this gap a little bit on the tight side So I just kind of push everything together, and then I'm going to go in and just knit across these 6 stitches. So now we have to do the mirror image of what we just did. So we had to pick up 5 stitches along the edge on our left side. So I'm going to count back. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go in right about here. And then I'm going to pick up a knit, and I'm using the yarn that was already attached to my needle. We don't want to split the yarn. It can be frustrating, just go slow. If you have to take stitches out, you take them out. And then our last one. The more that you pick up stitches, the easier it'll become. And now we have our foot. So you're just going to continue doing the striping pattern, just like the pattern tells you, until you get up to row 19. You're going to cast off, and then we will have our foot here. So what we have to do is we're going to have to sew up the bottom. So the easiest way to do this part is to thread your tapestry needle through the bottom of it. Let me just find my tapestry needle. Okay, so I'm going to thread my tapestry needle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hop around to this side first. And I'm just going to go into these edge loops of my cast on. Or my cast on. So I'm just going to pick a loop and go around pretty much stitch for stitch into the front loops. And then what that's going to do is that's going to help me cinch this tight. So when I pull, see how it closed up that edge? And then what you're going to do is you're going to mattress seam this all the way up. So we go to here. Now you may be thinking, how do I mattress stitch if I have my stripes? Well, the stripes are actually, with the mattress stitch, you can do a completely different color yarn. You could sew this together with black yarn, and the way that the seaming works, you're not going to see the stitches. The only thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that your stripes match up. So get them so that you have blue to blue and white to white, so that way they're not jogged. But otherwise, you're not going to see the seam. I can grab this guy. So you can see here with the body, I had used the gray yarn to seam this edge, and you really can't see it at all. So don't worry about changing color, stitch for stitch with here. Just use the blue yarn. And then once you have the back all done, then you're going to go ahead and you're going to sew up these little gaps right over here. And you can just do that with a whip stitch. And then you would stuff the leg, and your leg is all finished.